A lot of people are scared of putting their prices up and, thinking they won't get inquiries or bookings or whatnot. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to lie to you, the way I'm priced at the minute, I have seen inquiries come in and conversion rates drop. I mean, that's natural, that's normal. But you are hitting a finer niche of the market. But at the end of the day, if the couples truly value what you do and you can give them then 100% by doing less, they know they're going to get a quality product in the end of it. And that's kind of what I solely believe. And I'll say this to all the videographers out there, that if you are scared of putting your prices up, then don't. Because at the end of the day, if you've got truly something to value and you are good at what you do and you believe in what you do, then just do it. You have to try it, because you got to try it.
Welcome to That Wedding Videographer Podcast. I'm Danny.
I'm Jace. Feels like it's been a while since we've one of these microphones.
It has been, mate. You've got married.
Yes.
You finally got married.
Mm-hmm.
You then went on your honeymoon, and in normal Jason fashion, decided, I've just been on my honeymoon. Actually, let's just get on a plane and go somewhere else again. Because how many holidays does Jace Hunter Esquire need in one? Not even a year. It's been like 6 months. You've been away like 9 times or something.
What can I say? Scotland sucks. Scotland isn't great.
Just looking for like a permo tan.
I know. It's like I was like, setting up the lights and stuff, and I was like, oh, I'm a bit like, I need to turn mine up. Oh no, it's just because you're so pale.
Excuse me. Like I got burnt, but now it's starting to turn into a tan. It's like, it's coming. I'm a bit red in the face though. So
I like to get away. That's the kind of main benefit of working for yourself, isn't it? You can just do a couple days here, a couple days there.
I mean, no, I don't know how that feels like. I have 2 children and another one on the way. Like,
Okay. Different situation.
You got married. You married your girl.
Yes, that was awesome. Like, I don't know if we'll ever do like a podcast dedicated to that, but I could talk at end about what it's like actually getting married and being on the other side of the camera. Like, my perspective has completely changed to how I'd approach a wedding now. And I could go into that for ages, but what a day. Absolute best day ever.
But actually, let's just quickly rewind just slightly. Because there's obviously like some things that, you probably tell grooms to do, maybe, behave the night before the wedding, that kind of thing. Don't take it too far.
That would be sound advice.
That would be very good advice. What time?
What have you got on me?
What time did Jason Hunter go to bed at the night before his wedding?
If Jean is listening to this, it was a sensible 1 o'clock.
And if Jean wasn't listening to this?
Well, you did this to me, Danny. Why you did this to me? She genuinely doesn't know.
Oh, she doesn't? No. Oh, fuck. Oh, I was going to love doing that in the pod. That was going to be so funny.
Oh, man. I mean, she probably will find out there's pictures circulating.
Is there?
Yeah, I mean...
Right, okay.
Yeah,
well,
it might be 5 o'clock.
Okay.
It might be 5 o'clock.
And what did you do the night before your wedding?
I don't know. What
you
did
didn't? Do you maybe hurt your neck a little bit, did you?
Oh, my God, my neck. I don't even know if it's... Can you still see it?
Yes. And how did you do that to your neck, Jason?
The night before, there was a lodge next to my lodge where I was, and of course, there was this little party going on next door, and they had some bets. Bets going on with themselves. They were doing little tricks and stuff all night. Oh. They come over and ask one of us, we need someone to race us down a hill, do a roly-poly down a hill.
And you thought at that point, that's me.
There can't be a bad outcome. Can't be a bad outcome to this situation.
And what was the outcome of that, Jason?
I rolled generously.
Yes.
Into a bush.
Yep. Full
pelt.
Okay.
And completely gashed my neck.
Right, yeah.
Within 12 hours of my own wedding.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, it wasn't just the neck, the whole body was like an absolute, it was ripped apart. And I'm asking the guys, is it that bad? And honestly, there's a picture somewhere. My whole neck was like throbbing the whole night, which is so funny because when my dad got married when I was 10, he busted his ear open the night before his wedding.
Right.
And I said I would never be that stupid.
No, you would never be that stupid. No.
So there you go. But it did. I mean, she's like the first time Jean sees it, we're actually getting married, and I can see she's looking at me like, what have you done to your neck? And I'm like, none. The good thing we're getting married this way, and it wasn't this way.
Yeah.
But, I think my photographer's done a good job at editing the big gash out.
Video, not so much.
I haven't seen that yet. We'll see. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot.
Basically, if you're getting married and it's the night before your wedding, do not stay up very late and decide it's a good idea to go and do roly-polies down a hill.
So let's talk about you for a second.
Okay, let's do.
Because obviously you attended the wedding. You had a fun night.
I did, yeah.
Yeah,
It was
really
good.
fun night.
Yeah.
So my wedding was on Sunday.
Yep.
This is a nice dark room that we're in right now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you didn't take 2 days off to deliberately get out of the house and just come here for a little sleep.
Oh, I did. I did.
2 days later,
Yeah.
comes into the studio. 2 days. How hard did you go?
Pretty hard, man. But this is the thing, because when you have kids, you don't get out that much.
You
So
don't get out
like,
much.
and then what you do is you try and drink like you used to drink, like back before you had kids, and you realise that is the old me and this is the new me, and really I get drunk off of like 3 beers.
Yeah, and having a sleep in a podcast studio is the way to recover from that. So
I just needed to lie down, man.
our wedding. What do you? You're married yourself. You got married in 2016, Mike, didn't you?
Yeah. Do you know what? I can relate to this story completely. Jace, the night before my wedding as well, let's just say my best man come up with the genius idea of, why don't we all stay together in a hotel, but we'll just go down to the little sleepy town of Tenton where I got married the night before. We ended up in some ZZ's. I'll just go for a couple of beers. Anyway, we came out and thought we'd call it a night. And you know what? There was a pub next door, blaring full of music, live bands. And we thought, let's just go in for one. Let's just say the whole pub found out I was getting married the next day. And I didn't get out of that pub till 1 o'clock in the morning. And I couldn't walk in a straight line either. So it was terrible. I couldn't, do you know what? The wife, in fact, I'm glad the wife married me in the end. She didn't find out until until she noticed I didn't eat my wedding breakfast. And I was like, nah, I can't do this.
They put a big wedding breakfast in front of me, and I'm like, I had a bit of a sausage, and I'm done. I ate nothing all day. I wasn't hungover.
Was that when you passed us and said that you had to go for a tactical whitey?
But to be honest, all the boys decided to go out and play around the golf, and I was like, nah. Do you know what? I slept in until about an hour before ceremony, and it was just like, yeah.
Oh, man. I was writing my vows an hour before ceremony. Like,
oh wow, cutting it fine.
I know. I'm
Literally, think of all the times you've given advice to like grooms. Oh no,
It was the
make
pressure.
sure you behave.
I'd written them before, and I deleted them like 5 times.
So, what I done, me and the boys, I had my best man and my groomsmen. What we done was they basically came and stayed with me 3 days before the wedding. The first night we had a blowout, and the second day we were all hanging, and then we couldn't be arsed drinking on the last. So then we were perfect for the big. That's how you do it properly.
That's sensible. Yeah, we
Yes.
just took one load the day before our wedding.
Yeah,
I wouldn't call it a
fucking
blowout.
roly-polies down a hill.
I was just adrenaline, man. Anyway,
Anyway, we digress, and he's been under the cosh long enough. Really excited for this week's podcast. We have a guest on with us today, someone that I have been chatting to for a while, and whose work is absolutely stellar. A previous TWIA national winner, another one, Mike Alexander from Mac Videography. How are you doing, Mike?
I'm doing well, gents. Thank you for having me on. Thanks for having me on. I said I reached out to you boys because you are doing an amazing job, and you're very grounded with what you guys are doing, and the advice and everything, and having great guests on. So it's great to be on. So
Thanks, mate.
yeah, thanks for having me. Doing a great job.
Not at all. As I said, I am a big fan, and obviously when I introduce your work to Jason, I mean, yeah, we'll get into it and stuff, but your work is phenomenal, and an absolute worthy winner for the national award. I don't think either of us would want to go up against you for one of the awards. So
yeah, I mean, I feel like I've watched a lot of wedding films, especially in the UK. I felt like I've seen everyone that there is, and occasionally someone will introduce you to someone new, and I think I'd recognize a film by you, obviously not because of your intro credits, whatever, that are really, really cool, but there is a style that you've got that I was just like, I looked at Danny, I'm like, my God. Oh my God, this is ridiculous. It's so fun, but it can be really serious and beautiful.
And a nice transition from serious to fun to,
yeah. I don't think I've said tremendous more to Danny, I'm like, this is tremendous. This is tremendous.
Thanks, guys. Thank you very much. Yeah, do you know what? I mean, I started this off back in 2018, and I kind of, we all started down this direction of, filming a friend's wedding, and I started on a Canon 70D, 1080p. It was just, yeah, do you know what? Do you know how long I spent on the internet after I filmed that wedding, finding out how to get noise out of my image because it was so bad, so bad. But, thankfully it was for a friend, it wasn't for a paid client. And let's just say after that wedding, it was, I learned a lot of lessons, put it that way. So, and then, things kind of just, grown from there, really. I maxed out my credit card, and I'm glad it paid off in the end. I'm on the Sonys. I'm a massive Sony fan. I was bought. Sorry, Danny. I know you're Lumix. I know you're Lumix.
But so far, I think we're like 3 up on the panny. So,
who's chosen the guests?
Sorry, Mac, that's all we've got time for today, but thanks very much.
Obviously, you got married in 2016. You didn't have a videographer. How dare you? It says that on your website. What was it you did before? How did you get into videography as a medium? Were you creative at all?
So I'm probably embarrassed to say, well, not embarrassed to say this. I mean, we all had to start somewhere, right? We all had to grab a camera from somewhere. I actually took my dad's sort of like little camera handheld thing, whatever it's called. My mate passed his test, driving test, and one of the first things we did when we was really, really young was we decided, of all the places, in his little Peugeot 106 to get on a ferry and go to France for the day. And it's on my Facebook still, I think, and it's I should take it down because, to be honest, there's a lot of swearing in that film. There's a lot of there's a lot there. But do you know what? I think it was then when I kind of like got a feel for it, and when I edited the film, it was on the old, I don't even know if it exists. I mean, I edit on Premiere, by the way.
Yeah.
But I edited that on Sony Vegas. Do you remember Sony Vegas? Yeah. Is it still knocking about?
I don't know if it is. I remember it was an option when I started as well. But yeah.
Old school. Anyway, so I edited it on that, and I thought, do you know what? This is really good. And I put it out to all my friends, and all my friends liked it. And I was just like, do you know what? I kind of like this stuff. But obviously, before then, I was so I'm a little bit of a jack of all trades. So I used to be a nightclub DJ.
Oh, cool.
So I did all of that. I used to work in radio as well. I did a few bits there, but my main kind of job was I worked as a marketing manager for a medical company. And basically the story goes, if I was just to kind of fast track a little bit, I actually went full time with the business right after COVID, but the plan was I had my notice written up in February 2020 to go full time that year. And obviously COVID came along in March, and I was like, you know what, I'm glad I didn't hand that to my boss. So so I had to persevere for another year and a half or so before weddings could really kind of take off again and say bye-bye to the day job, and now I'm here. So this is what I do full time.
Exactly the same as me. Like, I was ready to leave 2020, and then of course it happened. So I didn't actually submit that letter. But it's amazing, that little pause. Did you find that there was a change in your business before and afterwards, like knowing that this is something that you may need to think of if you go self-employed? Because obviously you were contracted before to a company. So did that change your perception on going full-time?
Yeah, do you know what? I was fortunate enough to have a boss, because that was really supportive of me. He knew that I was heading in that direction anyway. So I kind of, it's all about communication in the day. And I did a lot of the kind of creative stuff back in my day job. And I just basically kind of went through, kind of just, how can I put it? Just kind of progressed with what I was doing on my side, but obviously I was also helping out the company I was working for at the same time, doing some more creative stuff for them. So it's kind of a bit of a win-win. And then obviously, I left the company, and I still do bits from now, believe it or not. So it's some of the commercial stuff, So we actually, but some more of the creative stuff. So they recently had sort of like an awards ceremony thing, and every year they do like a bit of like a rip-off of James Bond, and we're just film bits, like little mini movies to basically show at this big awards conferences that they do every year. So a bit of the creative stuff is still there, so it's for them, so which is really cool for them. So yeah.
I mean, it sounds like you had all the skills to go into this before, and obviously radio DJs, you've got the presence with clear communication. I can't even say that right. That was ironic. Clear communication, obviously marketing, working in that. So running your own business, obviously there. It sounds like you had the kind of the skills to just lend so happily to this. But obviously it just so happens. Yeah. Happily. Just so happens that you're pretty nifty with the camera as well. So that obviously works too. But yeah.
Yeah, you can tell you've had some kind of there's been a creative mindset there for a while, based on your films and the transitions in the films. You've got a creative mind, most definitely, which I guess kind of brings us on quite nicely to how you approach your films and stuff like that. I think it's just because some of the transitions, certainly, if you've not watched Mike's stuff, go and watch it. Mac Videography on Instagram. But yeah, you'll kind of be blown away sometimes by just the transitions. And we were watching them and just looking at each other.
Just like this, watch. Ooh. Just pause. Put that back.
Rewind.
What did you just do there?
Because there was there was one in particular that we watched, which was the Leeds Castle one. Hollywood meets Leeds Castle, and oh my word, I literally just went, oh man, I'm just gonna give up.
Please for a reference for everyone. Just go and watch that one.
Down.
Scroll down. It's
a few videos down, and it's
we'll link it in the show notes too.
Yeah, it's pretty epic, and there was some really good transitions. So, I guess let's start just a little bit before that and just go how are you approaching that with your films, because they're so engaging, and you just want to keep watching to see what happens. You're really good at pacing as well.
Yeah, so there are a couple of ways I kind of approach how I do things. But first things first, I create these trailers. These are the bits that you see on my Instagram. Now anybody can. I mean, sometimes I put together teaser reels and stuff. I mean, we all know what teasers are, right? I mean, it's just, simple best shots of the day, pieced together to a little bit of music. But I mean, for me, trailers has always been the standout kind of signature part of what I offer. And I take it, my inspiration comes from cinema. I mean, I think a lot of it, a lot of us, get a lot of inspiration from, certain filmmakers or cinema in general. But if you think of it from this point of view, that, if you want to go to the cinema and you don't know what film to see, you watch a trailer.
Yeah. And
that trailer has to be really engaging for you to go and watch it. Well, I have that same approach. I have to have that same approach because I feel like if I was doing the same as everybody else, then I wouldn't stand out. And that's kind of leaned more to how this has kind of grown to how things have got to for me personally. And weddings for me, you can plan for obviously as best as you can. You know your time frames, you know your ceremony, you know when things are going to happen, special surprises if someone's going to read out something or whatever. But you just don't know really what the real energy and the vibe will be on the day. So I think for me, weddings are a complete blank canvas until I turn up. Until I start filming, until I see something, and it's just kind of do you know what, that would look really cool, and then obviously I feed off the energy of the couple as well. So it is very much kind of right. Are they getting a bit fed up? Do they want to do the creative stuff? And I mean, this is all stuff I find out before anyway. But
yeah.
You don't really know what they want until you get them on the day. So yeah, for me, my approach in terms of how I see things and edit things, a lot of it comes down to the energy of the couple and, what direction we take the day in. I was at a wedding literally just Saturday, just gone, and the couple were they were buzzing. And I was like, okay. I said, do you mind if we do this? You just have to ask the questions. I have this idea in mind. Are you up for it? And they'll be like, yeah. So I did a kind of a bit I wouldn't say like a dirty dancing thing, but when bride and groom kind of go one side of the other, and then they kind of come in, run up and meet in the middle. He picks her up and throws her about a little bit. And I just said, guys, you know what? It would be really, really cool if I got like the drone up in the air, we'll film it from up above, then we get the wide angle, and then I'll stick my 75 on and we get really, really tight on you guys having fun and make it look really, really epic. They'll be like, do you know what, Mike? Do whatever the fuck you like. Just let's just do it. You know, they were absolutely just, you know, having it. And obviously, some couples would be like, yeah, I'd like you to just be a ninja, fly on the wall. And you know, and that's cool. So, was that a really long-winded answer to your question?
I mean, what's conveying is like it's, you know, getting the couple to buy into your vision is half the battle. You know, you can turn up in the day, and I think we can all relate. I was sitting there listening to you, thinking,
and the photographer,
and the photographer too,
because that's taking up a bit of time.
Yeah, I mean, you get to a wedding, and you've got all this inspiration from watching other people. Like, people might watch your films and think, you know, how does he have that much time in the day to get what he does? But you're shooting the same weddings we are. These are time precious events, and half of the battle is getting, you know, the communication for people to buy into a vision. If you've got an idea, you can't nail it all the time. These weddings are that we share. Usually, we've had the best conditions to be able to do the best locations. The couple who's absolutely down with what you've got, but it's how you approach it on the day, and the energy that you're giving back to the couple. Hopefully, they reciprocate that. So. Yeah.
I think what's really important is that with the way I kind of approach things as well, is that you have to have a balance between artistry and narrative, and obviously and how the couple feel, and I think I've seen a lot of wedding videos and seen a lot of other wedding videographers work, and you know, and what I've seen is amazing. Sometimes you know, things can be over stylized, but my approach is I want these guys to look back at their wedding films in 10, 20 years and go, oh, do you know what, that was so much fun on the day. That was very much us, and the music and everything like that, the way it's edited and pieced together, they can resonate with that, rather than having something that is not them, if that makes sense. So I always make sure that it is all about them.
Yeah.
And that's important to me. And yeah.
Because one thing that we noticed as well, I think there was a shot in that one from like Leeds where it was like a transition with the bride was coming down the hallway, wasn't she? And then you done a transition with the groom going down the same hallways kind of thing. So is that something that you're walking into that hallway in the morning and going? Because I'm assuming, had you been at that castle before?
Yeah, so Leeds Castle's kind of a bit like my second home, really. Okay, I do quite a lot there. But yeah, no, that I know what shot you're talking about, and to be honest with you, I don't go into these things with any kind of plan as such. I just see things and go, do you know what, guys, this will look really, really cool. If I can just get you walking this way, and then John, can you just go? So this is John and Mallory's film that you're talking about. And I'll just get them to repeat the shot. And we did something similar, because obviously these guys, the Americans, I think you guys had Russell on before, and I think you briefly touched on this. The Americans do things a little bit differently to what we do here. So I kind of exploited that, and I've gone, do you know what? Let's just create something really, really dramatic, and they're all over it. So we got a little scene of them in the little chapel bit inside the castle, and we filmed it a couple of times. Again, it was very directed, and I should stress that this is not for everybody, you know. And the way I kind of talk about my style, I think the best word I can describe my style is undefined, because, you know, I could be in the middle of a field one day and it'll be a rave and a piss up, and it'll be crazy, and the music will be full of rock or whatever, something really with high energy. But then I could go to somewhere like Stowe House or wherever, big mansion house, and it can be the most elegant thing going. But there is also another story that there's another film that I did. Again, they had it all very classy, this particular couple, and then there was one particular moment that happened in that just made the film for me. So, but anyway, coming back to John and Mallory, we kind of, that was a little bit more leaning towards more heavy direction in terms of what I do. Whereas you know, the rest of the films, I just let the couples do what they do, and then I'll just kind of just jump in when the opportunity presents itself, and you know, and just I just kind of, you know, when you just see things and you just want to go, yeah, that would look really cool, guys. Do you want to? And you know, and it's, you just kind of know your boundaries with certain couples, because there are couples that just want you to be a fly on the wall, and then there'll be, you know, others that are just yeah, do what you like. So
yeah, I think some people think there's a lot of pressure on us to over direct on the day. Like, if we're not doing that, are we really giving them what they hired us for? But I think majority of our work is done in post, when we go, right, how do we get what we've got today and tell a compelling story? In contrast to that film, you have another film we watched in Susie and Simon, where it didn't look like there was much direction. You sort of went into the day and just let them enjoy their day. And you have some obviously transitions you did with a balloon that twist and it opens up a scene, which is really cool and fun again. That was a bit different. But that was the one as well where you crawled up the middle aisle and revealed the room. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's right. There was another transition I did with, they mentioned something in the speeches about the MG, the green car that they had.
Yes.
And it had an old photo, and then we kind of morphed it in. And surprisingly, that actually worked out really, really well.
Like, how long is that taking you to do? Like, because you've got quite a few different ones, and some of them obviously you're like masking and stuff. That must be accumulative over a film. Must be reasonably time intensive.
It is, but you only want to do the best for your couples. And like I said, if you want to do something different and stand out, then you've got to do what you got to do. And do you know what? There is a bit of a backstory behind this particular film that I did. So, Susie and Simon, I mean, I filmed their wedding some time ago now, and I went into that wedding thinking, you know, they're just happy-go-lucky couple. Everything was just fun and games in the morning, lots of banter from both sides, brides, groomsmen. I mean, you've seen the film. So there was a lot of kind of snippets from the day that just was just, you know, funny and banterish. And then it came towards, we got into the speeches, and I did not expect this whatsoever, that, you know, Simon got up and did his bit, and then he started to say something along the lines of, I just want to apologise to you. And I'm thinking, right, where is this going? Apologising to Susie as well. Where is this going? And then he started talking about wanting that, you know, I'm sorry that you've had to tell our boys that I've had to go away on holiday, when in fact actually he locked himself up in the Priory for a month because he was, you know, really suffering mentally. And I kid you not, I was in that room and I was with the photographer next to me, and we were just both looking at each other and thinking, what are we witnessing here? And this is so brave of him just to come out in front of all his friends and family and say that, and just be very, very open to the fact that they had this. Because obviously we went into this wedding day thinking, this is just a barrel of laughs, you know, a lot of fun, a lot of banter, as I say. And then this comes on and it's like, wow, where did this come from? And then you just kind of get it. Like, once you've heard it from there, you just then kind of understand why they are the way they are as people, because they've obviously gone on a massive journey. And, you know, this is a middle-aged couple. You know, this isn't your typical young bride and groom getting married. This is somebody that's been on a journey. They've had a couple of kids together. They've got two older boys. And they've obviously come to a point in their lives, right, well, now is the time to get married. This is kind of like, it just puts a lid on everything and go, do you know what, we've got to this point, we've gone through all the hard times, and now this is it. Now this solidifies it for them. And I came away thinking, wow, that was powerful. It was really powerful. So I came away, I sat down, and I started working on the edit. And I actually worked on the trailer, and I watched it back, the first version I did, and I was like, no, this doesn't mention any, so it didn't have anything about what happened in that speech. And I just thought, do you know what, I think I'm going to take a risk here. I'm going to take a risk, and I'm going to piece together something that is really, really for them. Because what it kind of shows is that they've gone on this hard journey, and they've made it, you know, and And yeah, so we pieced together a second version, sent it to them. They were absolutely over the moon, to the point I woke up one day to a parcel outside my house, and I wasn't expecting anything. And I have this parcel come in, and it was just full of all this really, really cool stuff. And it was like, there was one thing that's still sitting on my mantelpiece up in the office at the minute, and it was basically a model made of me with a camera in my hand with a wobbly head. And I thought that was absolutely, do you know what? That's probably the nicest thing that a bride and groom has ever done. And I think when you go above and beyond, I think, you know, and it's paid dividends. You know, for me as a creator, it really did kind of, you know, it kind of brought their story to life.
Yeah.
And yeah, and do you know what? The bride messaged me afterwards. As Susie said, you know, I'm so glad you made that version, because it was all kind of tucked away and it was all a bit of a taboo subject. You know, nobody wanted to kind of, you know, it's not something that you really want to publicise. But then I asked her, I said, look, do you mind if I put it out? And the amount of love and likes she got, just, you know, it brought something in. So,
Yeah.
you know,
It was
yeah,
a very,
and
it was an emotive film, you know, for sure. And I think, you know, 100% kudos to Simon, obviously, for talking about that, because obviously that couldn't have been easy, especially knowing like how bad guys can generally be, talking about, you know, mental health struggles and stuff. But what I think that you'd done, like, with that film, it was really beautiful in the sense of, you know, you somehow managed to have like all this energy and stuff like that in there, but whilst talk about this really deep and personal, you know, struggle that he had, but then just bring it back all to, you know, to the, and you kind of felt like you went on a bit of a journey with the edit, you know, along with them, which, you know, is no mean feat, because I think most people, that would maybe be the default option would be to, oh wait, we can't have that in the edit because it's a bit, maybe it's a bit sad, or you know, but yeah, what you done there was, yeah, it was really, really good. Let's be real, delivering your wedding films by USB, that's outdated.
We use VidFlow, the sleekest platform for delivering your wedding films. It makes your couples feel like they've got their own private Netflix.
Plus, with their white labeling service, you can customize everything from the branding to your own custom domain to make it super personal.
Want to wow your clients? Use the code TWVP10 for 10% off any of the pro plans, including the white label service.
Head on over to vidflow.co
and level up your wedding film delivery experience. Let's talk about backlog. Editing piles up fast and it's overwhelming.
That's why we use brideandgroom.video, a wedding film editing service that creates stunning wedding films faster without compromising on quality.
They match your unique style, so you still feel like you've made them, and the process is super simple.
Use the code TWVP75 to get £75 off your first order and try out their service.
Clear your backlog and grow your business. Visit brideandgroom.video today.
Hasta la vista, backlog.
Using the tools that you get from a day, like the speeches, the vows, and everything, it's how you handle that. And using your audio, obviously, you've got experience as being radio, so obviously sound design and everything must have come quite naturally to you beforehand. So you're using that skill in these films now. I just wondered if you could talk to us a little bit about how you use sound design and the musical choices for your films, and how you go about that in your edits.
Yep. Well, I'll start with the easy bit first. Music bed. We all use it. Most of us use it. Yeah. But I think what's great about Music Bed now, they've evolved so much that the music is, I mean, I've tried all of them. Epidemic Sound, Soundstripe, Audio, I've tried all of them, but Music Bed just wins hands down. And it's definitely worth the investment. The amount of music I take off that service has been crazy. But the new AI tool also helps because, like I said, I think when you go into a wedding, what I tend to listen out for musically is what's the song that the bride's walking down the aisle to and their first dance choice, and then kind of like if I have a band, is it a little bit rocky? What's the kind of vibe of the day? And then I'll kind of judge it from there. Like for instance, I'll give you an example, right? We'll be out, how can I put this? In the middle of a field, it's a kind of like, they've got teepees up, festival vibe, live bands, you know, brass bands, whatever. And you just know that the music that it needs to fit the vibe. So it needs to have that kind of that rocky indie kind of thing to it. Something a bit more more dynamic and a bit more energy. Whereas on the flip side, you can be filming in a massive mansion house and everything about the day is black tie, elegance, everything like that. So the music, obviously, of course, you wouldn't put any rock music with that. So I think to be honest, that's very kind of standard and very simple to understand. But I find the AI tool with MusicBed very, very useful to try and match up to what their first dance is. And let's just say the first dance was I did a film just recently, and their first dance was Rihanna, Diamonds. I think that's the title of the track. And I was just thinking, okay, so it's got kind of a bit of a beat to it, and and the lyrics of what Rihanna says it makes a lot of sense to them. So I got to go onto MusicBed, use the AI tool, type in Rihanna Diamonds, and then it'll bring up a list of songs that has the same kind of feel to it. And it's very clever like that. So I managed to find one track that fits right in with it. And also I got a little bit more clever with it, and I took the a cappella version of Rihanna's song and started off the trailer with that as well. So I did some clever bits with that. So music wise, MusicBed all the way, and I tend to dive into using the instrumental versions of certain tracks as well, and then kind of mix it in the edit. I don't know how else I could explain this, but then obviously finding other tracks for, like, if we go into a bit of a the ceremony part, obviously it's not going to be full pumping full of music, so we just kind of then bring it down a little bit. So I find another track that's kind of in the same key as what I'm working in, a bit of strings or something like that, and it just all kind of pieces together. Did I explain that right? That's a lot of waffle.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I can hear there's a lot of sound design in your films, and it goes above like birds chirping or water trickling. It's something that I love using is risers and impacts to really emphasize a key moment, and it's something I don't really hear a lot of in the market. But when it's used correctly, it just adds an extra bit of impact. So. When do you find like times to use like rise and impact? Like what's your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, so first of all, a big shout out to Multiply Sound. I know you use the sound packs as well. They're really, really good. I use another service called Splice, if you've heard of it. That's also a good one to use, just to kind of get those additional kind of cinematic sounds to
like
certain things.
A library website.
Yeah. So it's a massive library full of any kind of sounds you can think of.
150 quid probably.
Kitching.
It's not actually that expensive. I can't remember how much I paid for it. I've lost track.
My eyes just went, what?
But no, Splice is a good tool. I use that, and I've got a couple of other sound packs from different people that I've just kind of kept in archive and just use it over and over and over again. With risers and reverse cymbals and all that kind of thing. Really, I use that in the most kind of impactful moments of the film. So there could be, like, sometimes I do this in my trailers where, you know what, trailers to films, right? You don't want to give everything away, okay? I want the couple to go, right, this is really cool. I really want to see the feature film now. So there'll be like parts of the day where she's just about to walk down the aisle, he turns around and then the screen goes black, and then you've got like a little riser that kind of leads up to it, and then you go to a different part of what I do. Again, it's sometimes it's weird how my mind works. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you just kind of see it in the edit, and then you kind of just build it around that.
But having that part of your brain wired in,
it's definitely
it doesn't really compute for me.
I do get that. Like sometimes you don't quite know. You're watching a scene, you think it's not got it yet. Like I don't build a scene with sound design initially there. It comes when you see it and think, how can I make this? How can I enhance what I've got here? And that's where sound design is really powerful. It's not really at the forefront of what you're doing.
And sound design should be used quite sparingly as well. Just, you know, there are things that I've done in the past that I look back at some of my older films and I've learnt a few bits. Like, for instance, if I do a drone shot and it's quite high up in the air and then all I can hear is loads of like forest and birds chirping. I mean, no fucking birds fly that high up in the air. So, do you know what I mean? So it's kind of a bit like, okay, so you just need to kind of match it with the scene really and just be kind of...
a car revving its engine or something.
Just
when
like
it's
a big road of geese. You're just like, well, the drone, you're probably closer to the geese up in the air than you are down there.
But these are just a little, you know, little touches that make the films just a lot better. But yeah, no, sound design is a very big part of what I the music, but also another big part of it is narrative. So the way I kind of approach any edit is always listen back to the ceremony, edit ceremony first, edit the speeches first. I think most of us do that anyway. But I listen back to see if there's any kind of similarities between what the groom says to what, say, like the best man says, or if the bride gets up and speaks and does something. I've had it so many times where the bride will say exactly the same story as the groom, and then you kind of then bring both of them into the edit. You cut between to kind of tell the story rather than it just be the one. Like the groom just telling all of the story, if that makes at all any sense. So it's kind of like just adding a lot more variety to the edit and making it about telling the story. I think that's that's my definition of what true storytelling is about. But obviously, you know, you can go to weddings and they hardly say a damn thing. It's just like, oh, how do I approach this?
I think we all, with those like weddings where there's not much in terms of like narrative, and we're just like, like, how are we gonna tell the story? And we figure it out, but it definitely like it helps just when you've got, you know, because especially with that one at the Leeds at the castle, obviously the speeches were just, you know, phenomenal.
And you're saying that that's a teaser, the one that we saw at Leeds Castle. That's their teaser. That's not their highlight film, right?
So that's I call it a trailer highlight. That's really interesting because
it's compatible to what some people would offer as their main feature films. So obviously there must be. I want to kind of ask a load of different questions about this, but like because teasers for most of us or the trailers for most people is something that we offer a couple within like a week or something of their wedding to kind of get that hype. Something like that might take a bit more time, especially if you're saying you do the ceremony and speeches first. I take it you do those before you even attempt the trailer. So it's only just recently, I thought to myself, do you know what? I need to do more stuff to put out onto social media and pretty much immediately straight after someone's wedding day because I'm kind of missing a bit of a trick here. So I've actually just started doing some teasers, and for me, teasers are literally just a 90-second reel that's basically some of the best shots of the day. I mean, we all know what teasers are. So, but the trailers then come after that, and then they get their full kind of feature film after that. Right, for the sake of everyone, can I just say thank God?
I know, because I was like, so wait a minute, that's a teaser? I was like, I'm away back to delivery. Like, but that makes sense. Okay, so your trailer it's essentially a highlight film, and then afterwards you'll then send the feature. Okay, that makes me feel a lot better about myself.
Yeah, so that's good. That's a good opportunity for us to like talk about what you do offer your couples. Like, talk us through your packages that people can book with yourself. Yeah,
sure. So I offer 2 packages. And I've given it names, the highlight package and the cine package. It took me a little while for me to come up with that, but we figured it out in the end. So the highlight package is the one that no one ever books. It essentially is your kind of Instagram teaser, and then you then have your kind of 8 to 10 minute kind of highlight film. So, and I brought that in kind of straight after COVID, because I saw a bit of a rise of people getting so that package is great for elopements and stuff like that. But I also, after COVID, there were couples that were still having less guests and all of that. So that's why that package kind of came in. So yeah, essentially 2 films: teaser, vertical reel, 90 seconds, great for socials, whatever. And then obviously, yeah, you get your kind of 8 to 10 minute kind of highlights film, as it were.
And how much is that?
That's at £4,200. They got then the if they want to have a ceremony, and if they do have any speeches on top, then we'll add that as an extra. But generally that's what they get. No one ever books that. And then the other package that offers, the cine package, is basically all singing, all dancing with the guys all day. You get the teaser, which, yeah, like I said, the vertical reel. You get the trailer, which is the ones that you guys love. And then you get the and then you get a feature film, which can anywhere between 12 and 20 minutes long, depending on what these guys got going on throughout the day. And then a keepsake versions of their ceremony, full ceremony, and keepsake version of their speeches. So and that's at 5K.
That's a 5K. Okay, cool. Yeah, so 4.2 and 5K is the difference there. So you're getting the trailer and an extended feature for that bump up.
That's
so
right.
yeah, I would say that.
Yeah, it's good. Well, I mean, you're basically at the top end, like doubling the time frame of the film.
And obviously, being at that price point, it means that you probably. I mean, how many weddings a year are you working on?
I typically try to only take around 20 odd weddings a year. Yeah. That's kind of where I would want to be. I mean, I think we all experienced this after COVID, didn't we? Where we were all just exhausted, I think, after 2 long years of postponements and a lot of weddings. I very much decided on putting my prices to where they are, and it's very much kind of that's it really. So it's
Yeah, I think Danny and I were talking earlier about the sweet spot of what would be creatively not strenuous on a year to create something, and
it's right about that mark. I said probably somewhere in the region of about 25. I think 30 at a very push, but I think what it allows you to do is spend more time, on those edits, which you can see that you do, and therefore can really create something beautiful. Because I think Rue touched on it when we talked to him about it, is that you can't just. There's no way that you can spend the same amount of time if you're doing, for instance, if you were doing double the amount of weddings, you're not going to be able to spend the amount of time that you're able to take on those films to make them as epic as they could be, just based on the time
I think
constraints.
When I first started out, and I think to some extent we've all been a little bit guilty of this, we kind of see becoming self-employed anyway is just a journey, and then seeing how much money you can actually earn from what you're doing is more than what your day job has been, working 5 days a week. I think I've been very guilty of this when I first started, that I took on everything and anything, and I was like, I like the money coming in, but the amount of work that I had to do for that. What's funny is that I said to my wife, I said, I'm going to quit my day job and I'm going to pursue this full time. The good news is that I can choose my own hours. I don't have to answer to a boss other than myself. And, I can have better work-life balance. I mean, what a fucking lie that was. It's obviously COVID came along, and it was like, do you know what? I was saying to the wife, I said, do you want to go to Jamaica? Do you want to go here? Do you want to go Florida? And do you know what? It's like, and then I had to do all the edits, and it's kind of like I had zero time. And Danny, I'm sure you can relate to this. When you've got young children in the mix, you want to see. The kids want to see you, and you want to see your kids. And then if you're out shooting every time, and then you're working late nights, and working all hours God sends in front of a computer screen, I mean, it couldn't be further from the truth that it wasn't initially a better work-life balance, put it that way.
No, it's
And you know, if I'm being really, really open now, something really juicy for your wedding podcast is that, you know, my wife and I nearly split up because of it. You know, we went down this really dark path of I was working all the time. And yeah, we were going on family trips away, holidays, and it's always in the back of your mind, you know. You're always constantly thinking about work, and you're thinking about getting the edits done, getting it back to people in a reasonable time frame. I mean, COVID hit us hard. We all of us took on way too much, and you know, and it was just. It was a difficult part, you know, of life. And I'll always say this now to anybody new coming into the game, is when anybody says to you, take on only a certain amount of weddings every year, don't go crazy and don't go nuts. Take that advice very, very seriously, because you do need to have that work-life balance. You know, you need to, especially if you've got young kids, family, everything like that. You know, now, thankfully, my wife and I, I'm still wearing the handcuff. It's still there.
Your wife, though, she's a creator as well, isn't she? She's a photographer.
She is, yeah. And it's only this year that we've really started to push the whole kind of husband and wife photography videography team. We joke about it sometimes when we talk to couples, and it's say like, for us it's a day date, because obviously where we got the kids stay with nanny and granddad, and we get to have some time. I mean, we was at Rudding Park in Harrogate on Saturday, and you know, for the first time in a long time, I mean, we stayed overnight, you know, and you know, we had breakfast in the morning, and it's just us two, you know, didn't have to worry about kids or anything like that. But you know, we shot the wedding, and we done everything, and it was real nice. So yeah, for Emma to be involved with doing what I do, doing not just obviously just the photography that she does, but she also does the second shooting for me as well in terms of videography as well. So
yeah, I think that is, as much as this job is the best that I've ever had, there is no time that I ever switch off. Like, the phone is my biggest tool to communicate to the world. I don't have a personal Instagram these days. I am my business. That is who I exist as online. And I think you could say to anyone like who maybe just comes in, like, you know, don't take on too much. It's definitely advice that I'd heard for years, but it was something that I had to do in order to realize exactly what it was they meant, because that became me. And you know, you just feel like you're letting too many people down, because it sounds easy. I don't know what it is about ourselves when we say, okay, we've got 10 edits. It takes me a day to do an edit. 10 days work. It just doesn't work like that. You're always looking at your best ever performance. Like, I did a wedding in 2 days. That means I could do every wedding in 2 days. But we know it doesn't work like that. You've got a bunch of building blocks, and putting them in the same order is not gonna happen.
Well,
you need
think
to
about it.
discover
If something goes wrong in the edit, for instance, I don't know, like, you know, you're at the back of your IO cams at the back of a church, it's not syncing up, you know, easily, so you're having to manually sync it. That takes maybe a couple of hours to sync all 3 cams, you know, or whatever. Like, there's loads of different things that can that don't just go to plan as soon as you get into the editing suite, that then just takes up so much extra time, and then before you know it, it's like, Christ, this is like taking me a day just to get all of this sorted, and I've not even barely started the edit. But yeah,
and it's always the ones that where speeches are like 2 hours long. I mean, do you know what? Speeches need to be 20 minutes, no longer. I mean, I did a wedding recently, and I had like 13 speeches, and it's just like, oh, it's
I think we should just get like whiteboards and just hold them up and be like, that's enough.
We've got 2 minutes left. Yeah, wrap it up.
Get one of them.
Yeah, applause, please.
Football games, 1 minute. I think you know, some people, you know, for instance, if they maybe don't quite understand maybe like the value of videography, and maybe hear like people talking about like prices up at like, you know, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, I think like that's, you know, a shed load of money, and obviously like it is, but there's a lot of things that go into that. You know, it's the equipment that we own and have to buy, it's the hard drives, it's the, you know, everything that goes into it and the general running of a business. But it's also this is also something that I don't think many people talk about. They probably should talk about it more often, which is, it is that time that you're sacrificing, you know, because we are working weekends, you know, constantly, when, you know, a lot of us maybe don't see like our friends, you know, that we had outside of the videography or wedding world, don't see them nearly as much. I mean, I know I don't, and it sucks. But that's because I'm away at weekends so often, and then during the week obviously they're at work, and you know, I'm editing and I've got kids, and then also, you know, your family as well, like you said, the sacrifices that you then have to make on missing, because there's so much that I miss out, which I hate, with the boys growing up. You know, Kirsty's obviously on her own quite a lot, and there's a lot of times that me and Kirsty don't get a lot of time as well. So I think that factor you also have to, you know, that should allow you to be more comfortable as well with, you know, putting more of a premium on your price point in terms of like your time, because your time is precious, and especially when you've got kids, you don't get that time back.
It definitely makes a difference. I mean, a lot of people are scared of putting their prices up and, you know, thinking they won't get inquiries or bookings or whatnot. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to lie to you, you know, and, you know, the way I'm priced at the minute, I have seen inquiries come in and conversion rates drop. I mean, that's natural, that's normal. But you know, you are hitting a finer niche of the market. But at the end of the day, if the couples truly value what you do and you can give them then 100% by doing less, they know they're going to get a quality product in the end of it. And that's kind of what I solely believe. And I'll say this to all the videographers out there, that if you are scared of putting your prices up, then don't. Because at the end of the day, if you've got truly something to value and you are good at what you do and you believe in what you do, then just do it. You have to try it, because you got to try it. At the end of the day, the higher priced, I've also find this as well, you really do get your ideal clients, and you aren't going to get those ones that you know, are going to be, how can I say, troublesome. Back in the early days, I'm sure some of us have been down that road. I mean, especially over COVID times with me, you're shooting like 50, 60 weddings in that particular year because of all the postponements, and you know, you're trying to appease everybody, but they're still chasing your wedding films after about 5 minutes, even though you've told them. You know, there is something that I have done to the business that has been truly valuable to me, and that is have an online editing queue for my couples to see, and I update that regularly. And do you know what? Ever since I've done that, I don't have anybody chasing me anymore.
Same. So
is that built on your website? Or?
It is, yeah. So I use Monday.com to obviously do all the bits and bobs on there, like put the couple's name, date where they got married, and then kind of like a bit of a status update. So the way I kind of say it to couples is, look, after about a couple of days, you'll get an email from me with a special link that you and the other couples can see. You can go on there, and it's a bit like an airport departure board. If you want to use that as an example, you find your date, find your name, obviously, and then there's a bit of a status on there, you know, where you are, and I break it down into kind of like 9 stages of where they are in the editing cycle. So, you know, from the moment that I've got it, they're in the queue, or right to the very end when I'm doing my final checks, it'll all get kind of updated. And you know, Monday.com has this kind of like clever feature as well, so that obviously if you pay for it, sorry Jason, no subscription.
Oh yeah, money's disappearing from my account immediately.
If you pay for it, you can do it so that, you know, every time you change your status on Monday.com, it can ping out an email to the couple to say we've just changed the status, and something along those lines.
Great. This is gold.
You can let them know. I think so there was a particular story that I was on holiday one time, and there was this bride that reached out to me, and after about 3 months didn't get their films. This was going back a couple of years ago. And do you know what? I got that email and it put me in the mood for the rest of the day. And I wanted just to be on holiday with my family, but obviously, you know, brain couldn't switch off. Anyway, I got this email and I was like, right. Obviously, there were 2 things. I understand it from the bride and groom's point of view. They have to, they're excited naturally to see their films. And back then, obviously, learning the ropes still, you know, you do learn a lot of things, and you do evolve with the business. And I'm sure we all, like I said, we're all following that path. And you get to learn certain things. And the biggest kind of stumbling block for me was communication. So if you are, the experience doesn't just finish on the end of the wedding day. It has to also be happening afterwards as well. Keeping your couples up to date. Because the worst thing that can happen is that you don't keep your couples up to date or anything like that. They get pissed with you, and it leaves a bit of taste in their mouth. And do you know what? That happened with me with one bride, admittedly. And I've not made that same mistake again. And this editing queue has been an absolute godsend, because I can just go, there you go on to that, see where you are, and then, and figure it out for yourself when you can expect things. But as long as they know things are happening, then they're happy.
So I do the poor man's version of that, and put an editing queue up on my stories. That's how I do it. But it works. I was the same. As soon as I started doing that editing queue, I got less people chasing. Do you know what I mean? For like their films and stuff like that. And it definitely made a difference, because I don't think I've really had anybody chase since I've done it, really, because they can see. And especially like towards the tail end of the year, when I maybe had like quite a lot of edits built up, I would put like almost the full list on, so they could see. Whereas now I kind of put on just kind of like maybe the next 3 or something like that are up, to kind of keep them updated.
What I like about the Monday.com, the way that you do it though, is that it also kind of holds you accountable. I think if they can go on and see that, and they can see what progress you're making all the time, I think for me, the reason I haven't really done the Instagram one is because I could just put a bunch of names up, and I never really felt like maybe people would miss that or something, and then I'd still get the email. I mean, you obviously have seen an improvement, and I don't really do an editing update as it stands, but so anything would have been an improvement from that. But I really like spending money, and that is a way that I can spend more money today.
I just heard the Monzo cash noise.
Do you know, I get Monday adverts all the time, and I thought, it's a CRM, I won't really need to find a use for it, but I didn't even think of that. That's a great way, great way of interactively allowing them to see something, and I guess it just looks more professional too, doesn't it? So at That Wedding Videographer Podcast, we like to humanize everyone, because of course the teasers and the trailers look absolutely amazing, but we know you're only human and mistakes happen at weddings. So what is your biggest balls up at a wedding?
I've got two things. So I'll humanise you with two. Number one, I would have turned up to the church after a very hectic bridal prep. And I'll get into the church knowing the bride is right behind me. I have all my bags. And I arrived without any of my tripods, and they're still at home. So luckily I had one of these clamp things with a magic arm on it that I managed to find some kind of fixture in the church to attach it to. So luckily I managed to get my B cam at least, but I left all my tripods at home. So as you can imagine, that was a very stressful moment for me, but I got around it somehow.
Talk about thinking on your feet.
If that happens to me, I'm immediately looking at every flat surface in the room going, what am I setting this camera on?
That happens to me, I've immediately melted into the floor.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, you say about balls ups and stuff. I don't think off the top of my head I can think of any kind of balls ups that I've done with filming. Touch wood. Touch wood. That hasn't happened. But there was one other thing where I turned up to a wedding. A couple just got married, and right, let's go and do that big group shot with the drone. And just before that wedding, I bought 2 Godox lights, and they all come in their individual bags. I don't know whether you got the Godox ML60 BL lights, but they come in these 2 kind of really nice bags. And I repurposed one of them to basically have at the time, the Mavic 2 Pro. And I turned up, I went to open up the bag, and it was basically all of my chargers that I had for all of my cameras. There was no drone to be seen. So I just had to I had them all lined up ready for this kind of big group shot, and I opened up this bag, and I was like, what did I just do? It's like, where's the drone? It's like all these wires. So yeah, I wouldn't say these are balls up moments. These are probably embarrassing moments, but
It's the thing.
And I
So,
guess
like,
if
did
you
you
want-
just like run around with the camera going, meow?
Well, thankfully, I had the wife on speed dial, and I was like, "Can you pretty please bring my drone in the other Godox bag that I've repurposed to house my drone, to bring it to the venue?"
So you got the shot later. It's just
We got
telling
the
them.
shot.
It's just telling
Eventually.
them all, like, so I lined you up here. False alarm. You know what? Sun's not
This
right.
was a good practice run.
You did.
It's good practice. But do you know what? That was probably the only day that I wished it had pissed down with rain. So I didn't have to put the drone on.
Oh, is that rain? Is that rain? Everyone in.
Sorry, drone can't come up.
Yeah.
There's a slight gust in the air. Sorry.
It's literally the perfect day, though, isn't it? Like,
Still
is that
no
a plane?
wind.
Is that a plane in the distance?
Sorry, I've just had a call from air traffic control. They've said that I cannot take off. I'm
I
afraid.
actually did say that once when I forgot my drone.
you?
I said that there was a no-fly warning zone just activated on Nats. Like,
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it can't fly today.
Nope,
because
big red
I
X.
forgot it. I thought, I just won't mention it. It'll be fine. I'll fly back another day or something and just do it. And then when the guy said, "So have you got a drone?" I was like, "It'd be really good to see it up today." I'm like, why today? No fly zone today. No fly zone today. But, God.
That's funny. But yeah, Mike, thank you so much for coming on the pod today. It has been awesome getting to speak to you and to delve into your head a little bit with your edits, because as Jason and I said before, you know, if you haven't seen Mike's stuff, you know, go on and find him. On that note, Mike, where can people find you to go and watch your awesome work?
Yeah, so you can, most of my, to be honest, I'm quite rubbish with updating my website. It's in progress, so it's happening. So at Mac Videography is the handle for Instagram, and macvideography.co.uk if you want to venture onto the website. That is needs a really desperate upgrade, but yeah, just stick to the Instagram. It's cool. Yeah.
Right. Mike, thanks so much for that. And
Thanks,
looking
gents.
forward to
Yeah.
getting a beer at Coda.
Yes, mate, I'm buzzing about that.
100%.
No
Yeah,
5
looking
a.m.
forward to it.
hookups.
We'll see. You'll probably drag me into it at 5 a.m.